And so today we're going to start doing solving systems by substitution. And just so you're aware, this is a tougher stuff that we're going to do this unit. So we're going to take a couple days to really learn it. So understand that you might not get it right away, and that's okay. So if you need to take a little time to understand it, so be patient, okay? I don't expect that you're going to get this 100% right away, but the biggest thing is that I know you can do it eventually, okay? Otherwise, I wouldn't have you do it. So let's take a look. I do want you to make sure that you get these steps written down because it's really important to have them for reference. So when you're stuck on a problem, you can always look back at your steps and see where you need to go next. So step number 1 is to substitute that expression into the other equation. Step number 2, solve for the remaining variable. Step number 3 is to substitute that value into either equation and solve for the remaining variable. Now, right now, none of that really makes any sense, but it's going to make sense in a second. So before you move on, make sure you have that written down. So let's start by taking a look at number 1. So what I notice first and foremost is that x is equal to 2y plus 36. So if x is equal to that, that means there is the same thing. If I'm out of school one day and you have a substitute teacher, I'm not also going to be in school that same day. That substitute teacher is going to replace me for the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find x in my first equation. So I find x up here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that x out completely, and I'm going to put this second part in instead, since I know that x is equal to that. So I'm going to take x out, and I'm going to write 2y plus 36, and then I'm going to write the equation exactly as is, okay, as if that x hadn't been taken out at all. So I'm going to keep that 2y, and I'm going to say equals 8. So I took x out completely, and I put 2y plus 36 in instead. So now I'm down to just the letter y, which means I can actually solve it. So 2y plus 2y is going to give me 4y plus 36 is equal to 8. So now I'm going to continue solving for y. So I'm going to subtract 36 from both sides since we're adding. And then I get that 4y is equal to a negative 28. Okay? Negative 28, good. So then we're going to divide both sides by 4, and we get that y is equal to a negative 7. So now I know that y is a negative 7. Okay, y is a negative 7. So I'm going to look back at this equation up here. We know that x is equal to a 2y plus 36. So I'm going to take that equation, and I'm going to write everything out how I had it up there, except now I want to take the y out. And instead of having the y, I'm going to put in a negative 7. So everything stayed the same. All I did was take my y out. So then I have 2 times negative 7, which is a negative 14, plus 36. Add those two together, and you get that x is equal to 22. So the last thing I want to do is write that out as a coordinate point x, then y. So my x comes first, comma, my y. And this right here is the solution to the problem. Now I know this seems kind of confusing right now, but we're going to go through a lot of examples, so hopefully it starts to make sense. So what I notice in number 2 is that x is equal to a negative 2y plus 15. They are the same thing. So where I see x out here, I can take x out completely. And instead of having x, I'm going to put this expression. So I'm going to rewrite that first equation out, but I'm taking x out. And instead I have a negative 2y plus 15, and then I have a minus 3y, and that's going to be equal to 2. Now, this is like solving an equation at this point. Now we're down to one variable. So I can take that 2 and distribute it in. So I get a negative 4y plus 30 minus 3y is equal to 2. Negative 4y plus a negative 3y. That's going to get more negative. That's like adding them together. So we get negative 7y plus 30 is equal to 2. Subtract 30 from both sides, and that gives me a negative 7y that's equal to a negative 28. Divide both sides by negative 7. And that's going to give me y is equal to negative negative becomes positive positive. 28 divided by 7 is going to give me 4. So now I know that y is equal to 4. So I'm going to go back up again to my original equation. the one that's already solved for x. So we have x equals. So now I want to take that equation and I'm going to rewrite it out. But instead of writing y, I'm going to write what I know y is, which is 4. Okay, so negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8 plus 15. X, so is equal to negative 8 plus 15, which is 7. So again, writing that out as a coordinate point, x and then y. So again, be patient with this. I don't expect you to fully understand everything right away, so don't freak out. We'll get you there. Just keep watching the video. So x is equal to 3y. They are the same thing. So if x is equal to 3y, where I see x up here, I can take x out completely and I can plug in 3y instead. The substitute teacher subs for me, so we're going to sub in 3y for the x. So I keep the rest of the equation exactly the same, and now I'm going to put in 3y instead. So then I have 7y is equal to 26. 11 times 3 gives me 33y. So now I want to get my y's to both sides. Well, this is a positive 33y. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 33y from both sides. Well, 7y minus 33y, that's going to give me a negative 26y. And that's going to be equal to a positive 26. So now to solve for y, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 26, and that gives me that y is equal to a negative 1. So now that I know y is equal to a negative 1, I can take this equation right here, and I'm going to rewrite it out exactly as is, except I'm going to take the y out, and I'm going to put negative 1 in instead. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So now I know that x is equal to negative 3. So x, then y. And this right here is our final solution. Let's keep talking about some more. So in this case, we have it solved for y. That's okay. We're still going to do the same thing. So I notice here that y is equal to 4 plus x. They are the same exact thing. So where I see y up here, I can take that 4 plus x out completely. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take 4 plus x out, and I'm going to write the rest of the equation out exactly as is, as if it was the same equation. All I did was take the y out and replace it with something y is equal to. So now I need to solve it for x. So I'm going to start by taking this plus x, and I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So then I have 4, and then here I have 3x minus x is 2x minus 4. So now I'm going to add 4 to both sides. 4 plus 4 is going to give me 8, and that's equal to 2x. So the last thing I need to do is to divide both sides by 2. 8 divided by 2 is going to give me 4. So here I get that x is equal to 4. So now I know what x is equal to. So now I want to figure out what y is equal to. So let's go ahead and let's go back up to the original problem. Okay, so we can take this equation. Now I'm going to write it out the exact same. The only thing I'm going to do is where I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 4. Because I know that x is equal to 4. So y is equal to 4 plus 4, so y is equal to 8. So we have our x and we have our y. For every single problem you do, you're going to have 2 solutions. So the solution to this problem is 4, 8. All right, let's keep going. Let's take a look at number 5. We're just going to get through as many of these as we can. Okay, so I know that x is equal to 4y. So x is equal to 4y. So where I see x down here, I could take it out. Okay, it doesn't matter which equation you use. A lot of these problems, there's a bunch of different ways you could do them. Okay, so I'm going to take that x out. So I'm going to rewrite out that second equation. I'm going to take x out completely, and instead of having x, I'm going to put a 4y. So then I'm going to keep that second equation exactly the same, except I took the x out. And now I need to solve for y. So I have y, negative 3 times 4 is going to give me a negative 12y plus 26. So then I'm going to add 12y to both sides. And then y plus y, 12y is going to be 13y. and that's going to be equal to 26. So now I need to continue solving for y, so to do that, I'm going to divide both sides by 13. So then I get y is equal to 26 divided by 13, which is 2. So now I know exactly what x is equal to, or y is equal to, sorry. So I can go back up to this original problem, and I'm going to take this first one. You could use the second one if you want to. It doesn't matter which equation you plug it back into. I'm going to use the first one. So I'm going to write it out exactly as is, but wherever I see a y, I'm going to substitute in a 2. So then I have x is equal to 4 times 2. So x is equal to 8. So now I'm going to write this out as a coordinate point, x, and then y. So right there is my final solution. Let's take a look at number 6. So I notice in that second equation that it's already solved for y. So y is equal to 3x plus 7. So where I see y in that top equation, I'm going to take y out completely, and I'm going to put 3x plus 7 in instead. So I get negative 4x plus 2. Then I'm going to have 3x plus 7 is equal to 16. So let's go ahead, and now we need to solve that for x. So I'm going to start by distributing that 2 in. So I get a negative 4x plus 2 times 3 is 6x plus 2 times 7 is 14, and that's going to be equal to 16. So negative 4x plus 6x is going to be a positive 2x. That's the same as 6x minus 4x. Plus 14 is equal to 16. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. And then I get 2x is equal to 16 minus 14. So that's going to be 2. So now I need to divide both sides by 2 to solve for x. And I get that x is equal to 1. So now that I know x is equal to 1, I'm going to look back at this equation right here. So I'm going to take x out completely, and I'm going to substitute 1 in instead. So wherever I see an x in that second equation, I'm going to put in a 1. Everything else is going to stay the exact same. So then I have y is equal to 3 times 1, which is 3, plus 7, and 3 plus 7 is 10. So then my solution, I have x is 1 and y is 10. So I'm going to go ahead and write that out as a coordinate point. Let's take a look at number 7. So for number 7, I see that I have x is equal to y minus 9. So x is equal to that y minus 9. That means they're the same thing. So where I see x up there, I can put y minus 9 in instead. So I have y minus 9 plus y is equal to 5. So then I have y plus y, which is 2y, minus 9 is equal to 5. So the next thing I need to do is I need to add 9 to both sides to solve for y. That gives me 2y is equal to 14. Divide both sides by 2, and I get that y is equal to 7. So now I need to plug that back in. So I'm going to take this second equation, and I'm going to write it out exactly as is, except wherever I see a y, I'm going to plug in a 7 instead. So now I have x is equal to 7 minus 9, and that's negative 2. So we're going to write that out as a coordinate point, negative 2, 7. And that's your final answer. So this is tough stuff. So to save you some time, I'm going to end the notes video there. There's 3 more examples, so if you need me to talk it through with you at the desk, that's fine. Otherwise, go ahead and we'll have you get started on your homework because it will take you a little bit longer to do this stuff. Thanks for listening.